रोशनी का कारवां I wait ये है रोशनी 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 का कारवां रोशनी I wait ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
So after you worked with this rehab center, which was started by Mario, where did you move professionally after that?
2 years. 2 years, I didn't do much. I mean, I had just been married while I was working in 2002. I had been married, and while I was still working in things like that, and this organization packed up, I thought, okay, let me give myself some time to sort of regroup and see what I wanted to do. And I was still working from home, and all the beneficiaries who had come in, you know, they had become, a lot of them had become friends, and we had this entire set of volunteers from various places who used to do their recording of, you know, study material and things. So I continued doing a whole lot of stuff from there, but there was always this hankering to get back into the hotel industry, which was my industry of choice and education, but didn't know how. Fortunately, then again, like I said, a lot of things happened that way for me. There was a hotel opening up in Hyderabad called the Justa Group of Hotels, and the person who, the founder of the hotel, the CEO and the founder of the hotel, was a former Oberoi employee.
Right.
And he was hiring, he was looking for people in Hyderabad while still setting up the hotel. And the sales manager who was going to take over was a dear friend of mine. And she told me, why don't you try? Because she knew that I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And sort of I met him, and then he didn't know how I would go about things. So I explained to him how we worked with the computer and various things. So that's what gave me my entry into the hotel, which was just for 3 months for a trial, because he needed to see how it would work and, you know, whether it would made any sense to him or not. So that's where my journey and re-entry into the hotel industry began.
And then moving on, what happened after that?
I continued, like I said, three months is what he said. But I remember he used to sit in his office and he used to listen in, because his office was right where at the back office where I used to work. And every time he was in Hyderabad, he'd sit and he'd sort of listen in to my calls while he was doing his work. Obviously, he could hear me, and he was very surprised that I was effective with, you know, introducing the hotel and inviting people to come and see the hotel and things like that. And so he said, okay, fine, and we can continue. And then it went on slowly. My area of work expanded from being just a simple telecaller to becoming a sales executive. And I was given my own portfolio. Initially, I didn't have a revenue target and things like that. But then as it grew, I started generating my own clients and did prospecting and things like that, and went full-fledged into full-time sales, both unit and regional sales. I did that quite a bit for almost, it lasted for 12 years eventually.
So you connected with your clients on the phone, and
yes.
It must have been some experience when they came face-to-face with you.
Yes, some of them did. Some of them, I didn't have an opportunity to meet a whole lot of them, because my primary portfolio was, you know, regional. I did very little local things, local sales. But when they did travel in and things like that, I've had some funny experiences with people where I still remember my first client who I sort of, you know, earned from, and he came in and he wanted to meet me and things like that. I walked out to meet him, and he was completely stumped. He could not open his mouth and say a word to me, because he was so stunned to see this person standing in front of him who he'd been interacting so closely for weeks.
Yeah.
Was eventually blind, and you know, he gave me a very limp handshake and a very you know, under his breath greeting and things like that, and disappeared. I had planned to, you know, take him to lunch and do my regular sales executive thing, but he didn't give me an opportunity. So yes, but there were some who were extremely happy to meet with me and very, very forthcoming and told me to my face how happy and encouraged they were to see, a blind person doing so much, and so that was it was encouraging. It was
So when you
a
moved,
validation.
so when you moved around the hotel, did you use your cane, or you were oriented enough to?
Yes, it depended on where I went. Because from my back office, I worked from the hotel for a while, and then I started working from home.
Yeah.
Because our staff grew, and I didn't really need to be at the hotel. I used to go to the hotel every Saturdays for my meetings.
Yeah.
But yes, I knew my way around. So downstairs, from my office to the conference rooms and things like that, I just needed to trail, but I always had my cane. Other areas of the hotel, I would use the cane or a sighted person or sighted guide, for the simple reason that since it was a public space, there were a lot of people that would be randomly moving around and wouldn't really know why I bumped into them. So often if I was moving into a space which I knew was a public area, I preferred to simply go with a sighted person.
Yeah. So you mentioned that around the time you finished with Mario Thompson's organization, you got married. Would you like to tell us the story of how you got married? How did you meet your husband, and what was the story behind it?
Well, I'm not married anymore. So,
yeah.
But it was interesting because I met him at the organization itself, at Cabby itself. He
Right.
Was a friend, Mario's friend, who I was introduced to, and we just got talking. And I first met him as soon as I had joined, and then after that, for 2 years, I didn't see him at all. And 2 years later, he happened to come to the hotel again for some work, and we got talking and things. And had a lot of things in common. And he was a man who liked to he liked to ask a lot of questions. And since he had been around Mario, he wasn't fazed by a blind person. Right. And so we just got talking, and things got we a little deeper, and we started interacting a lot more over the phone, and we saw that we had things in common, and perhaps we could make a go of things. And we decided to sort of give a relationship a chance, and we were together for 2 years before we decided to get married. We lot of learning, lot of new things, and I learned a whole lot of new things from him. And he was very creative, and worked with a lot of solutions for me
right.
Around the house and things like that. So that's basically it. And then we met, and we married for 8 years before somewhere along the line, I think we sort of realized, perhaps both of us, that the relationship or the marriage wasn't really how we thought it would be. And things just started going wrong, and it continued to go wrong. And then 8 years into the marriage, we sort of decided to go our own separate ways.
So this was while you were still with the hotel?
Yes, it was while I was still with the hotel, yes.
Yeah. So at some point of time, I believe you decided to move on from the hotel and start something, do something else. So what was it that you transitioned into, and is that what you're doing even today?
I did various things, actually. While I was with the hotel also, there was, as much as I liked doing what I did and things like that, but there was a space and in time where I suddenly started feeling redundant, mentally redundant. And that, I think there's nothing more debilitating or destructive than a redundant mind. And I started feeling, because there were things that I wanted to do within the hotel, but, a small hotel company had certain functions which they didn't really necessarily need, like a separate training department or things like that. So a lot of it was on the job. But these are things that I was interested in, communications and stuff, but they didn't seem to need that work. So I continued doing the same thing, and till I actually got bored. And I discovered, thanks to few people who used to read and comment on small things that I wrote, and they told me that, well, you can write, why don't you write? So I started writing. I started my own blog, and I started writing for other people as well. Some amount of content writing and things. So that I used to do on the side, which I still do in, spurts and bits and pieces even today. Then I also started doing meeting people. I started doing some amount of motivational speaking. I used to have conversations, did some counseling with other people with disabilities, especially blindness. And since people knew me around there, so on the side, I used to do a lot of this kind of activity. Was my activity for the soul. It truly kept my mind and my soul alive. And last year, was it 2019? Yes, it was last year when I finally called it quits with the hotel. And I was asked to join. This was again another friend who used to, run this organization who still runs this organization called Mercury Medica. Yeah. So we, at Mercury Medica, we primarily work with emergency, medical services, equipment for emergency medical services, and also with evacuation equipment, CPR and first aid training and equipment. So he asked me to, work with him, and he said, why don't you come and see, come and touch and feel all the equipment that is there, and I'll give you a better understanding of what it is. Yeah. So you could probably, you're in any case used to interacting with corporate clients and things like that. You could do some amount of sales, and you could learn, how to train people with CPR and first aid and things. So I went there, and it was it was a totally new space, and it was something that was so diverse from, like somebody told me, you went from hospitality to hospitals. That was literally how it was.
That's an interesting move.
So
for the right reasons.
I enjoyed it. Yeah,
for the right reasons. You didn't visit the hospital for treatment. You went there for.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't need to do that. Thankfully, I didn't need to do that, and I was still doing my, calling and things like that, talking to people and establishing relationships. And the new things that I did was I started working with B2B, sites, and I learned. It was a learning experience. Then the most wonderful thing that I did was I went and I got myself certified as a first aid and CPR service provider at with the American. American Health Association. So they are the people who certify you as a trainer. So or a service provider. So yeah. I took that, and I think I would probably be the only blind person who's actually certified to, teach people how to use give CPR and first aid. So that is some of what I'm doing right now.
So where does this equipment fit in to your CPR and?
Well, the entire equipment, for instance, we use, have equipment related to sudden cardiac arrest and things like that, which we sell. Those are the automatic external defibrillators, or the AEDs as they're called. Yeah. So when a lot of this equipment today is mandatory in terms of, for organizations to have, whether it's a corporate or whether it's a retail outlet or whether it's even homes and things like that, it's necessary for these things to be around. So what we do is we sell the equipment, and we help people understand how to use the equipment. We give their personnel training in first aid. Like we sell first aid kits. Now there are various kinds of first aid kits. So specific to a particular area or to a particular company or the market, we customize things for them and teach them how to use it. And we also do full-time training, full day, half-day training for people how to learn to save a life. So it's in conjunction with both, because we sell the equipment and we train them on how to use the equipment as well.
So the company sells and you are part of their training training team.
Yeah,
to,
yes. We
Excellent.
sell and we train. We do both.
And this does get you to travel across the country, or it's mainly in Hyderabad?
No, it could get me to travel. I went to Bangalore actually. I took this because this was something that I wanted to do with people with disabilities as well, because I don't think we are particularly aware of how to save our own lives and to save the lives of people that are around us. And
Yeah.
I did a pilot training program in Bangalore with a whole bunch of blind people, and it was amazing to see how fascinated they were with this entire thing. It would allow me, if I had clients, I had the freedom to travel wherever I needed to with clients and things like that. But unfortunately for me, just as I started getting into the thick of things, COVID struck.
Oh.
So things are at a little bit of a standstill, especially my training programs and things like that are at a standstill just now.
Right.
So that's unfortunate, but it's something, yes, that I can travel with it wherever I choose to.
So there are three things that came to me while we were having this chat. There are three things that you said, and or I perceived that you are passionate about. Number one, you said you're passionate about cooking somewhere down the line. You also mentioned that you were passionate about talking, and there was a third passion that you mentioned, which was books.
Yes.
So how do you keep in touch with these three passions?
Books first, books, audiobooks. Thankfully, somebody introduced me to audiobooks, and I still remember the first set of books. The first book that I ever read on audio cassettes at that point in time was John Grisham's Pelican Brief. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was the most fascinating experience. And I cannot tell you the joy at, actually being able to listen to a book, have someone, just lie back and plug in your earphones and have somebody read the entire book to you. So that was totally life transforming, because I discovered audiobooks from there, and from time to time, then this at Kavi itself, also there were a whole bunch of audiobooks that we used to have in our library. So I used to run through all of that, and slowly as we went on, then joined these a whole lot of emailing lists for blind people that share books and things like that. So that was what opened my life to audiobooks and MP3 players, and of course now Audible and the Victor Reader Stream and all that, and VoiceStream Reader. So life's fabulous where my books are concerned.
So what are the kind of authors you kind of read?
Well, I'm a fiction junkie, and I'm a romance buff. So I read a lot of books that that are about optimism and eventually end in "and they live happily ever after." As much as people laugh at me, just read it yesterday. I was reading a tweet where an author has a romance. Fiction author has said that life is it's about optimism, and there's a lot of difference between being just a simple believer and being naive. So that genre has a lot of optimism and hope that it gives me every time I read it. And if I'm reading a book that I think is going this way and that way and might not end happily, then I quickly go to the end and ensure that
yeah, cheat on the book.
That's a terrible thing to do. Can you imagine me reading a suspense thriller or something? I'll be only reading from the back. So yes, a lot of fiction. I mean, women's literature. I do a lot of women's literature. I like to read a lot of articles about feminism and rights and that kind of stuff. So I do it's a wide kind of self-help. I enjoy some amount of spirituality and self-help kind of thing. So it depends on what I'm feeling like. That's about it.
Wonderful.
So
and
then,
what about the second thing?
Cooking. Cooking was something that I've done a lot of over a period of time. After I learned, Mario taught me how to cook. He reintroduced me to cooking safely. I've done a lot of cooking, and strangely enough, while there were a lot of people that used to cook, blind people who were, absolutely proficient and fabulous cooks and things, there was really nobody who went out there and spoke about it and in their own small circles, they helped people and things like that. And over a period of time, I think even through Ivy, I used to get, when there were questions about food and cooking and things like that, and help desk used to sort of, somehow everyone discovered that I might be a person who can help people. And I've got so many calls that have been redirected to me to help people with cooking and things like that. So suddenly I found myself in this middle of this entire teaching blind people how to cook space, which was so fulfilling. And I cannot tell you how much I've enjoyed doing this over the years. And I
So what are some of the
actually
what are some of the favorite dishes that you actually
I love to
make?
bake, George. I enjoy baking a great deal. So I love to bake. I have few signature things, one of which is my chocolate banana bread. Then I make a chocolate cake and then a chocolate mousse and things like that. And I love to experiment with salads. And I love to, Indian food, of course, that we cook regularly, and experimenting with that. I do a whole lot of experimenting with the regular Punjabi food and the South Indian food, which is where I live. So a whole lot of that. So I basically like to experiment with things. And now, thanks to YouTube and all that is available, it's pretty simple. So coming to YouTube, recently when the lockdown hit, I again found myself in the middle of a whole lot of cooking activity, because we had a whole bunch of blind people who were stuck in various places cooking on their own and not being able to buy food from outside and things like that. And there was a demand for wanting to learn how to cook. So I had invitations on webinars to talk to people about cooking and safe cooking and what they could buy and what they could use. Then a few friends said that, why don't you start giving lessons and make recordings or something like that? Thus was born in April, my YouTube channel, which is called Rasoi Ke Rahasya, where I teach a blind person. I have audio tutorials which teach a blind person how to cook from scratch. I orient them to their kitchens, to ingredients, to methods of cooking, to storage, refrigeration, identifying accessible cookware, and a lot of it with how to cut fruits and vegetables, certain things that a lot of people seem to not know how to do. I gave them glossary of ingredients, of names in English and Hindi, spices, because they were all ordering online and
Sure.
sometimes didn't know what was called what. So I did all of that, and it's been really it's been received really well, because I've got people telling me that they never thought they could cook, but my channel seems to have helped them and motivated and encouraged them. I couldn't ask for more.
So I think the next time I'm in Hyderabad, I've been to Hyderabad several times, but I don't know why I haven't done this, but I need to make sure that I come to your house and try some of your bake.
Most certainly. You should. Next time you're around, please let me know.
I will.
And it would be a pleasure. So the talking bit of it comes pretty much in this whole thing. Talking to people about cooking and food, and then of course, motivational speaking, a whole lot of inspirational talks and sensitization workshops and all of those kind of things. So the minute you start getting noticed and people hear of you, and I'm part of the Indian Women Network of the CII here in Hyderabad. So
right.
I've been, in the meetings, I've been noticed over there. And because of that, I've met and I've had a lot of opportunities open up there. So that's
wonderful.
That's how things are today.
Yeah. So I think I should say thank you very much for giving this time to speak to me on iWay Conversations. It's been a pleasure going through your story and the experiences that you've had, and the attitude with which you kind of lived your life, and also the truth that you don't have to be sighted to be able to do things. Even blind people can do things. It's blindness is not a kind of a full stop to life, and I think that's a wonderful learning from this conversation. And I think your life is a total testimony to how life can be lived to the full with passion, chasing things that you enjoy doing, and living as part of the larger community, and so on. So thank you so much for sharing your life, and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thanks, George. Thank you so much for having me here. It's been wonderful running this down with you. And I hope to, speak with you a lot more over the times as they come and as they happen. Good luck with this. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I ये है रोशनी का कारवां।